Over and over, we have watched Donald Trump test the limits of various gag orders placed on him by various judges. And Trump has spent this past week attacking not only Judge Merchan, but Judge Merchan's daughter on Truth Social. So last night, Judge Merchan extended the gag order to prohibit Donald Trump from mentioning the judge or mentioning the judge's family members. And Trump's response was to double down this morning by sharing a clip on Truth Social of Fox News talking about Judge Merchan's daughter. To help me break this down, I am joined by legal analyst Kaivan Shroff. Kaivan, how are you doing today?
Good to be with you.
My first question to you is, do you think Donald Trump's Truth Social post from this morning violates the extended gag order placed by Judge Merchan last night?
I absolutely think there's a very strong argument to be made that it does. I think he's trying to be cutesy, sort of sharing a video of somebody else talking about the judge's daughter. The fact is, he's posting it to his millions of followers with, again, that same goal that is clear as day, which is to try to get somebody, one of his rabid supporters, to inflict harm on the judge's family, which, of course, is why this gag order has been expanded in the first place.
Donald Trump seems to enjoy testing the limits of these gag orders. Do you think he's playing some wider game? What do you think his goal is when he tests the limits of these?
Absolutely. I think we've seen over and over again, Trump has been treated with kid gloves really by this legal system. And it's incredibly disheartening, by the way, as a young lawyer. I just joined the bar last year. And so I went through, of course, not only law school, but then you're studying for the bar. You learn all these rules and why the system is designed a certain way. And of course, none of that is being applied to Donald Trump. It is so important that people who are part of our judicial process feel that they can engage in that process without of course, their family becoming harmed, threats to their lives, safety, all of that. And Trump is pushing that because he wants to act like a mob boss. He wants to intimidate folks, not just this judge, but anyone that might be a future juror, somebody who, is going to weigh in on this case and might have to have a second thought that, do I really want to hold this guy accountable, or will some harm come to my family?
That brings me to my next question. Donald Trump seems to use this uniquely inflammatory rhetoric. How do you think any other defendant would be treated if they did what Donald Trump is doing?
He sure does. And it's not just rhetoric. Obviously, we've been seeing him showing these graphic images of the president bound in the back of a truck. By the way, it's against the law to threaten the president of the United States. So the level of this threat could be determined. But you are not allowed to commit other crimes when you are out on bail for the crimes you already committed. So I think most other, it's fair to say, criminal defendants in this similar situation would absolutely face, a penalty, whether that's having bail revoked or some sort of fine. By the way, the violation of this gag order, same thing. If Trump is found to have violated the extended gag order, then he could again face a fine, face some incarceration. We'll see what this judge is willing to do.
So that makes me wonder, why have judges been so lenient with Donald Trump in the past when any other defendant would face repercussions for this type of rhetoric, these type of images? Why is Donald Trump let off the hook?
Well, I think we've seen this as a pattern throughout our justice system, this sort of very misguided assessment by these decision makers that somehow bending over backwards to treat Trump specially and, give him the benefit of the doubt that he absolutely doesn't deserve in any of these scenarios is going to have extra credibility should he be found guilty at the end of this process, if this process is even allowed to play out properly. But, we have seen over and over again, whether it was, Mueller, whether it was the recent Her report, this idea that putting Republicans in positions to make these decisions, be the special prosecutor, and that's going to have some extra legitimacy, or that giving Trump every advantage in this process is somehow going to make MAGA nut jobs support the outcome, has never proven true one time. So we really need to move past that and treat Trump like every other defendant.
So if Judge Merchan decides that this is a violation of the gag order, what are the potential repercussions Trump could face?
So he absolutely could, he'd be in contempt, and he could face a fine. He could face jail time, as he awaits the trial. So there are a number of options here. Of course, part of what the judge is up against, and I think what the legal system is up against, to be a little bit fair to them as well, is this court of public opinion that has gotten more and more relevant in sort of the outcomes of our democracy, I think probably for worse to some extent. And what's happening here is the judge knows that if and when he does start to treat Trump like any other defendant, what's going to happen? You're going to have CNN, you're going to have all of mainstream media questioning, which is already questioning, should Trump even face charges for the crimes he committed? They're going to be saying, oh, the judge has limited Trump from doing this, or, imagine Trump in jail, the sort of headlines you would see. And I think that that's concerning, that that's the state of our information ecosystem, but that doesn't mean that Trump should get away with murder.
Yep. Do you think there's any credence to the argument that maybe Trump is testing the limits of these gag orders because he wants to face repercussions and become a sort of martyr and say to his fan base, look how they're treating me. I can't even say anything.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Trump has been the biggest victim ever, as always. By the way, all these right wingers are. I mean, they always find somehow, there's an irony there, right? Because he's actually being treated better than any other defendant, and yet he plays victim as though he's been treated worse than any other defendant, but it's clear as day what's going on. So absolutely. And this whole idea, by the way, I know he's arguing that this is a suppression of his First Amendment rights. Absolutely not true. I mean, these gag orders have existed across different types of cases for a long time, because it's up to the court to, yes, protect rights of defendants, but also to balance that with an effective legal process. And we can't have an effective legal process, a fair legal process, if defendants are allowed to threaten those who participate in our legal process. So that's pretty clear.
Yeah, and that was my next question. So a lot of times when I'm on the field at these Trump rallies talking to Trump supporters, they'll use the same argument that Donald Trump uses, that these gag orders violate the First Amendment, Trump's First Amendment right. But from my understanding, what I usually say is the First Amendment does not protect you from attacking the judge's family, especially the clerks. I remember Trump had a falling out with the clerk sitting next to the judge. Over and over, we have seen him testing the limits of these gag orders. So am I right to say that First Amendment argument has no credence behind it?
I will say, some defendants make that argument. This is a balancing test. I think it's very clear that Trump has tipped the scales to make it very obvious that he is a threat and that there do need to be limitations on what he says. And of course, Trump is unique in that he is speaking to an active mob of people every time he is doing this. We know it's not just rhetoric, because in 2020, a Trump supporter, a former Trump volunteer, shot and killed the son of Judge Esther Salas. So we absolutely know what Trump's goal is here, and these protections exist to address this exact case.
And we know that Trump's fan base is prone to violence based off the events you just said, based off January 6th. So Donald Trump continues to try to stoke these flames, and I find it scary. Thank you, Kaivan Shroff. All of Kaivan's social media links will be found in the description below. Make sure to go follow him on Instagram, on Twitter. He has a YouTube channel. Make sure to follow it all. He does great work. Thank you, and have a great day, Kaivan.
Thanks, man.
That was a great breakdown from friend of the show, Kaivan Shroff. And now we just have to wait and see, how will Judge Merchan react to Donald Trump immediately doubling down on these inflammatory Truth Social posts. My name is Adam Mockler. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, make sure to comment a blue heart, check out all of Kaivan's social medias down below, and most of all, make sure to have a great day.